As human beings, are we insecure? According to St. Luke, we are. And what is it that we're afraid of? What do we fear? We're afraid for the future. We're afraid what's in store. And we desperately clutch and we hang on to what the world has to give. It seems to offer protection. It seems to offer us security against all these different types of threats and fears that we might have. And wealth seems to be the most obvious source of security. How many people went out last night to buy a lottery ticket in the hopes of winning $1 billion? Security. I'll have nothing to worry about for the rest of my life. With wealth, we won't go hungry, we won't be thirsty. We'll have a good roof over our heads. We'll have gain, we'll have influence, we'll maybe even have power. We more likely have a good health, a long life, and we'll enjoy the best things that life has to offer us. And we think we're secure. But the deeper fear that feeds our insecurity, it also feeds our desire to want to have wealth. That desire itself can become insatiable. It can threaten to take over and control everything within us. Because we think if we have wealth and riches, we'll be secure and we'll do anything in our lives to get it. But what happens to our relationship with God? What happens to our relationship with our neighbor when these things take over our life? That's what Jesus is getting at tonight in this parable. He says to this man, "You fool, you thought you had security, you thought you had everything because you have all these barns and you have the grain stored in them and you have nothing to worry about. But what about your life? What about your life?" Prompting the parable is a request for a man who wants Jesus to intervene in a dispute that he has over the inheritance. He wants his share of it. That request it's not unreasonable. In fact, it seems kind of natural that we want to do that. But we become deaf. We become unaware of all those other things that matter, not in this life, but what matters in the next. The parable, it was a good parable, and it certainly would have invoked the people that Jesus was talking to, even though they may have been the poorest people in the world. No doubt, when they heard this parable, it caught their eye, because they would have been envious of this man who had all these possessions, and now he had nothing to worry about. How keen then they would feel the intervention of God this very night that a man will be made for your soul. That soul basically meaning the quality of a person, not according to the world, but the quality of a person according to God. What are we as human beings worth? That's what God's inquiring about. That's what God's asking us tonight. He's not saying that riches are bad. There's nothing wrong with wealth. It's how we use it. It's how it takes possession of ourselves that matters. The only security that is really lasting consists in being rich in the sight of God. This is because relationships with God is the only relationship or attachment that can transcend the barrier of death. What will happen when we die? Will we be ready? Will we be prepared? And that parable so powerfully illustrates how attachments to wealth, a desire to acquire things, hold on to and enhance it, and it prevents people from attending the relationship with God and our relationship with our neighbor. My brothers and sisters, what are we after in life? What do we want? What if your life was demanded of you this day? Would anything else in the world matter other than what you've prepared for God in your life? God's giving us a warning. He's giving us a chance tonight. He's giving us a sense of hope because he wants us with him. Are we prepared? What if your life was demanded of you tonight?